Welcome back. And I have a special person here with me now. David Nardone is here. He is co-founder of something called Fellow Countrymen. And I thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And you're a United States Marine, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Once a Marine, always a Marine.
Always a Marine. And I believe Julia Coswell, who was on before, also has a military background. So we're kind of celebrating today.
Amen.
What is this is something brand new to the upstate.
Yes, ma'am.
Fellow Countrymen, and you're a co-founder. What is it?
I'd like to say it's a mission from God that started on an opportunity that was presented to me to help homeless vets. So I was afforded an opportunity with a structure for a building by a gentleman that I go to church with, Jeff Taylor, and he willingly donated a building that he owned to me because he had witnessed my volunteer work through other veterans organizations in the upstate, and discovered that there was not really a solution for homelessness when it comes to veterans specifically. So I was challenged by someone who's running a veterans organization here to help become part of the solution. And so we stepped out in faith, and on April 22nd of last year, we opened up the Jordan Harder Home for Transitioning Veterans. So it's just been a work in progress. I had an idea that we were going to help out homeless vets, and because the building that was donated to us, it sits next to the business owner that donated it, who's been there for 18 years, King Fasteners. I didn't want to bring any drama. He's been there for 18 years. I don't want to bring any drama by helping homelessness can sometimes bring drama if they're using, currently.
Sure.
So we decided to go with a sober home living. And it's really been difficult to find sober homeless people, if you can imagine. We've helped a few over the past year, 4 to be exact. And the first one we took in on April 30th of last year is still with us. He's doing great things, and he's been a corrections officer at Greenville County now for 6 months.
So now you have a physical location,
yes, ma'am.
A house that
yes,
has
ma'am.
been donated,
Yep.
and how do you find these veterans? I mean, I think most of it, I may be naive, but most of us think you come out of the service, you're given a honorary discharge,
Right.
and then you go ahead and go on with your life.
Yes, ma'am.
And it doesn't work that way.
Well, it does for some. For most, actually, it does work that way. And for the majority of us, we're, productive members of society again, once we find our calling past our military service. But a lot of us struggle also after we get out with post-traumatic stress and alcoholism, as if a lot of us drink while we're in to deal with what we do. So we're here to try to support the ones that are struggling currently. And like I'd said, when we first stepped out and thought we were going to help out just only homeless veterans, the Lord presented other opportunities to us to where we're actually we're doing support groups now.
That's wonderful.
So the idea was to support the veterans in the home, but we've got veterans coming from outside all around the community who come in to seek support themselves.
So they don't actually live there, but your outreach and you have regular sessions?
Yes, ma'am. Although right now we're currently running support groups on the first and third Saturdays of the month from 5 to 7 p.m. And the first hour is food and fellowship, just fun, camaraderie we experienced when we were in the service. And
sharing your memories and where you've been and
yes,
that sort of thing.
And the inter-rival service rivalries, picking on each other, that's always fun. And then the second hour, we actually dig into the Word and look for guidance from God.
And do you have, I know you're a co-founder.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a minister or someone who guides you?
Everybody in the organization is volunteers. And we do have a volunteer chaplain. His name is Timothy Pender. And he's started the church, actually. He's an Army veteran of, I believe, 34 years himself,
oh my goodness.
Retired. And he started the church down in Simpsonville, God's Church, I believe is what it's called.
Well, do we have many veterans here in this area?
Actually, the state of South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the largest states with veterans living in it. Greenville County, I couldn't tell you the statistics on how many live here, but there's quite a few. Yes, ma'am.
Now, this can be somebody who's been a long time out of the service.
Right, yes.
It doesn't have to, you think when I first talked with you, I was thinking of somebody who was immediately discharged, but this outreaches to any veteran.
Right, yes. The first veteran we took in that's living with us and has been with us since the end of April, got out of the service, I believe, in 2012. So, it's been a few years, and he was living homelessly out of his car for a year and a half, and, unfortunately, using drugs, just living life aimlessly after his military service. And then we've taken in 3 others. We've got one success story from a young man from Easley who had isolated himself for 2.5 years, living out of a warehouse that was his business that went under. And when that happened, along with this post-traumatic stress from his combat experience, he just kind of said the heck with the rest of the world and just isolated himself. Ended up in a mental hospital in Traveler's Rest, and that's where I was contacted through a gentleman that I go to church with to come talk to him, and spoke to him, tried to mentor him, spoke with him a couple times a week for about 6 weeks. He finally came to one of our support groups, and that day decided that he would like to stay with us. So he lived with us for 6 weeks before he got back, and in those 6 weeks that he lived with us, he got reacquainted with God, and then his wife and children, and then on September 1st, he moved out, and I talk to him quite oftenly, a few times a week.
You actually keep up with these
Yes, ma'am.
people.
Yes, ma'am.
And I guess most of us don't realize that it is a tremendous transition from being in the military, and all of a sudden you're cut loose, and it's a totally different ball game, so to speak.
It's even harder on the ones that actually experienced trauma, some sort of combat or even anything that happened to them during their military service. Specifically combat. I'm a combat veteran myself. We walk on that edge of life that's just as thin as a credit card, just expecting at any moment that it was, our time was coming. And then you come back from that, it's
Now, you are a Marine.
Yes, ma'am.
And as you said, once a Marine, always a Marine. So, and where did you serve, sir?
Served, started out in North Carolina and was in the infantry and traveled to, I couldn't tell you how many, a dozen different countries in those 4 years. Was stationed down in Jacksonville, Florida at Cecil Field for a year before they closed it, moved me to Atlanta. I was there for 2 years. California for 4 years, recruiting duty for 3 years in New York, and then back in North Carolina for 3 years.
So now you're home.
So, and then across the world.
And you're going to stay home, aren't you?
Well, this is home now. I'm originally from Fort Myers, Florida,
but this is home.
Yes, ma'am. I've called this home now for 9 years, coming up on 9 years.
And just a little bit that I've had a chance to talk with you, I have the feeling that you feel that God has led you into this, that this is not just an ordinary business kind of thing.
It's truly a mission from God, no doubt. I mean, the building being donated, from the opportunity being provided to me to help other vets, which is helping me at the same time, to the community support that's come together to help us out and support us financially to where I don't have to lean on my partner anymore, who is the co-founder with me. We're 100% up and sustainable on our own now. It roughly costs us about $700 a month to run the mission.
So now, do you feed?
If we need
people?
to, yes, ma'am.
Explain exactly what I know you counsel them and support them and pray with them.
Yes, ma'am.
But what else is, they can actually live there?
Yes, ma'am. We've got 2 beds. So, Lord's has brought us 4 individuals over the past not even 9 months. The first one's still living with us, and he's doing very well. We're making a plan for him to move out August of this year on his own and be able to sustain that. But there's a lot of financial skills that he still needs to really grasp so that he can manage his money before he steps out on his own. And the other ones that came to us, were a little bit older, so they were easier to get on their feet. And then the one that's living with us right now wasn't necessarily homeless, but like I said earlier, I had some ideas of what I wanted to do and how I wanted to help, but the Lord has showed me what it is He ultimately wants and what His plan is, and that is just to help any veteran who's struggling, whether they're homeless or whether they're on the verge of being homeless. The second one that's with us right now, unfortunately, with his addiction and alcohol, had some unfortunate events happen to him to where he's not allowed to live at home with his wife and children for a period of time, 45 days or
So
something.
you're trying to restore him
Yes,
to
ma'am.
wholeness
Amen. Yes, ma'am.
so that he can live a normal life and be with his family.
Exactly. Yes, ma'am.
So what are some of the needs that I'm thinking, people out there, I didn't know anything about this until I got the communication, and then I called and said, would you come and talk to us?
Right.
So there must be lots of people who have never heard of fellow countrymen.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I don't believe in talking about doing something unless we've been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
And
So this is something really fairly new.
April 22nd of last year, we opened the Jordan Harder Home for Transitioning Veterans. And the name Jordan Harder is a Marine that I served with in Iraq in 2008. He was killed on April 22nd in 2008, and his heroism is extraordinary. You can Google Jordan Harder. He was awarded the Navy Cross for his heroism. The young man was 20 years old.
Oh.
And he stood his ground defending his post and shot the driver of a vehicle-borne IED, which is an improvised explosive device, estimated to be around 2,000 pounds. So when he stopped that driver, him and Corporal Yale from the other unit that we were serving with, 2nd Battalion, 8th Marines, the two of the Marines stood their ground and defended their post against the vehicle-borne IED, stopping the driver. Unfortunately, the bomb detonated, killing both of them, but they saved the lives of over 50 other Marines and Iraqi police officers that day. Because if the truck made it through the gate, it would have hit the building where the Marines were living and sleeping at approximately 7:45 that morning.
So he is a true hero.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So we named the project after him because it's a tremendous story, and to get everybody to share their story when they come into our home, we share his story, and it gets them to open up and share theirs.
Okay, now, so as I understand this, you don't have unlimited space to just take people in,
Right.
but you have regular support meetings.
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody who has been in the military
Right.
is welcome.
Yes, ma'am. Most definitely. You asked me a minute ago what's needed, and we're being able to sustain currently with donations that are coming in, but what's really needed is a refuge for more. In the entire upstate, include Anderson's, Greenville, and Spartanburg County, we've got about 30 to 40 homeless vets out in the elements on any given day.
See, this is shocking to
Yep.
me.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the feeling that many people out there, like I am, I mean, we didn't know about this.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. So what's needed is expansion, and in order to expand, we've got to have the resources. And so we're asking people to give $22 a month if they're willing to do so. And the idea is if we can get 100 people to donate $22 a month, we're looking at $2,200 a month coming in. And with that money, we can expand. So we've got a vision of 2020, I'm calling it, 2020 vision. And that the vision is to raise on the side $1 million. So we've started if you can go to our website at fellowcountrymen.org, you can read about our 2020 vision and the fact that we're trying to raise $1 million because it's going to take a lot of money to do what it is we got to do just to be able to run an organization without going to the federal government to ask them for support. So I've taken enough orders from the federal government, and I'm not looking to do it anymore.
You don't want to do that anymore.
Yes,
I think you
ma'am.
can do it better.
Yes, ma'am.
Without the federal government.
I think that the grassroots concept of getting community support and it being a community project works better because the community it needs to reach out to these veterans and let them know that they're loved and supported. So,
So you're hoping to have a place where they can actually physically stay.
Yes, ma'am.
And have their meals and until they get back on their feet.
Yes, ma'am.
And are you connected with any particular church or churches or?
Well, I'll give a shout out to Velocity Church. That's my home church, and that's a direct result of their loving on me that has made this opportunity
Where
happen.
is that church?
It's off of Reed School Road in Taylors.
In Taylors?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm not sure the physical address, but close to 253, and it's off of Reed School Road and close to 253. So it was through my struggles, my own struggles of turning away from God and people and just the anger that post-traumatic stress can bring upon you. My partner, Jeff Taylor, who's the gentleman that has donated everything for this organization to get up off the ground and running, truly brought me back to God.
So right as now, you have a space where you can hold meetings.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have food and.
Yes, ma'am. That's at 22 Agnew.
Okay.
26 Agnew. That number 22 is also near and dear to my heart because we're losing 22 veterans to suicide on a daily basis. So with that being
22 a day?
22 a day, yes, ma'am.
And that's, you're not just talking in
Nationwide.
South Carolina, that's,
Nationwide,
yeah.
the average. I've read something recently that said that the statistic has gone down to 21. So that's a victory in itself. You know, and it's because of organizations like this across the country that are standing up and helping vets type thing.
Well, David, you're an inspiration just to sit here and talk with you. And I will keep this information here. If you didn't get it, or maybe you would like to have some people in your church know about this, would you be willing to go out and speak to church groups and things about this?
Yes, ma'am, definitely. Yes, ma'am,
Okay.
absolutely would. Everybody's welcome. I'd like to say one thing. You're welcome to come out Saturday, 26 Agnew Road from 5 to 7 p.m. We're going to have food, fellowship, and getting into the Word of the Bible.
And you're giving life-giving support and encouragement
Yes, ma'am.
to people who've risked everything for us. That's what it amounts to.
Yes, ma'am.
God bless you for what you're doing. And I hope we get some response. I hope people out there will think about this and maybe call you and get some more information.
Please do.
But you do welcome people to
Yes,
come
ma'am.
and okay.
Yeah, the
but
more the
right now
merrier, the
you
more the
have
merrier.
2 men.
We're housing 2, and on our Saturday afternoon groups, evening groups, there's typically anywhere from 6 to, we've had as many as 21 show up for our groups.
Okay. But right now you're housing 2.
Yes, ma'am.
And is your, we're almost out of time, but is your plan to be able to welcome more in a housing situation?
God willing. God willing that
Okay.
the support comes in, that we can expand. Yes, ma'am, definitely.
Bless you.
Thank you.
I'm speechless. God bless you for what you're doing.
He has.
For the people who've given so much for our country, that we can be safe and we can raise our children and feel free. And what a blessing, because there are so many people in the world who don't have that. Thank you, David Nardone. I'll keep that information here. And wherever you are, be mindful of those who need our help. Bless you. We'll see you next time.